And good evening. This is Steve Ferreira. I am host of OK Boomer Live, and you're watching a live stream edition. It's 10 o'clock in Hartford, Connecticut. And so you're probably asking a couple of questions. I know my neighbors are out the window here. So they want to know, first off, the first question is, why is the TV station in Steve's house at 10 o'clock at night? Because it takes a lot of Klieg, is that how you say it? Lighting to get this place to shine the way it is. I can only explain to you. I saw a story on LinkedIn Live. One of the sharks from Shark Tank told the audience it takes 6 cameras, 6 lights to get up on the air. And that's pretty close to what it is here. Picture perfect studio, compliments thanks to Ethan Allen's design team. And we've got some great microphone systems, and we are just coming in live. And the other question I get is, hey, Steve, why are you all dressed up at 10 o'clock at night? Well, for that answer, that's just the way we roll here at OK Boomer Live. So if you want to live the OK Boomer lifestyle, you just have to go with it, right? You know, we've got the lapel pin on tonight and everything. So you can call me Steve, you can call me Mr. Ocean Audit, or you can call me Lapel Pin Guy. So from a formal introduction perspective, I'm Steve Ferreira, and I'm CEO of Ocean Audit, a ocean freight refund recovery consultancy that has 17 of the Fortune 100. It never gets old to say that. Wow, it's really good. Thank God. And I am pleased to have been a LinkedIn Live broadcaster now for 4 or 5 months. I'm still getting my broadcast legs, but I do think I'm improving, and I do think we're making some great headway with the content that we're providing. And I can't think of a better way. You know, I read somewhere, I think psychologists say that the best way to absorb something is to listen to it just before you go to sleep. Okay, it's a fib. I don't think I read that, but it sounds good, right? So, you know, I'm going to go with it. I mean, one thing I've learned as I've gotten older in my boomer years is to just, you know, kind of be a free spirit and let it flow. I learned that from a lot of my great friends and colleagues here on LinkedIn. So, hey, you know, we're all a community, and tonight it's all about making money for tomorrow. So we're going to talk about some really, really great stuff, and I'm going to just jump right into it because today's topic is, let me share screens with you so I can help. I can help get my points across a lot better here if I share the screen. So I got to do a few magical buttons here. If I do this, I click that, and I do that, and then I share. Right, I should have a full screen of some ugly guy here, and I can go full screen. And I look on my monitor over here, which is way too far. Kevin Hill, I don't know how you do it at FreightWaves. You're a master. But now it looks like we're really, really cooking with gas. So I'm pretty happy with that. So the masterclass is, I think about all the conduits of trade, right? So everyone knows I'm an ocean freight guy, and I'll always be that to the day I die, right? I love ocean freight. I wouldn't be sitting here in Hartford, Connecticut, 10 o'clock at night talking about it. You know, I'd be thinking about, I don't know, a nice Hefeweizen or an IPA to top the night off and, you know, get ready for tomorrow. But no, we're not. We're talking about freight. And, you know, I've met a lot of just really totally great men and women that are in the freight brokerage business. They work on the motor carrier side. And I know that's just such an ultra competitive business. And not that ocean freight's not an ultra competitive business. It just so happens when you're in the niche that I am, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to navigate and to be a leader, right? And as I try to develop that all important B2B persona that I think exemplifies who I am and has gotten me out of my shell and into a great area of comfort zone with you guys out there and my clients, I thought about some great ideas, and it's just finally time to really lay the cards out on the table. So, you know, you won't hear any pitch decks tonight. This won't be any part 1 of 2. You won't have to sign up to any masterclass subscription for, you know, $497. Really, I'm stringing this out a little bit because the point I want to make is that I can deliver what I think I can deliver to you guys in about 42 seconds. But I am making it a little bit longer for effect. And the whole idea between helping the community is I think that we all need to live the life we want and have the income we desire and get those promotional abilities if we're working in a big company, in a motor carrier, or if you're working for a large freight brokerage. Certainly it's your time to shine, right? So what's the easiest way to do that? And how can I, an ocean freight geek, right? Really, I mean, that's what it is, right? How can I help you maximize your income if you're a freight broker or a motor carrier, right? If you're a chief commercial officer and you're watching this, I hope I said CCO. Did I say that? I hope I didn't screw up. Yeah. Chief commercial officer or the chief revenue officer, whatever way you want to clause it. This LinkedIn Live is for you, and it's for the freight brokers and freight brokerage companies out there. This is for you. So here's a scenario that I think you'll find intriguing. Let me just switch the page here and just make sure that's switched over. So the scenario is that, and you think, I thought I've been conceiving this idea for a long time, and I've had some informal talks about it, and I think this is the time to really kind of let it shine. So let me kind of explain here, just watching my my monitor here, make sure that we're okay. Let me kind of explain in the upper top right-hand corner, right? So there's traditional motor freight salesman, freight broker. There's a client and there's the factory, right? Then at the bottom, we kind of have a truck, and I just picked, going from Dallas to Miami. Actually, it's two places I lived. It's funny, I didn't even do that by design, that I've lived in both places. But I've lived in Asia and Europe too. So, I mean, I didn't put those on the maps, but I kind of have that because of my ocean background. So the ship represents my global nature. But here's the idea of making money. So you have the opportunity, you're a freight salesman at J.B. Hunt or at Nolan or Coyote or any of these wonderful, wonderful companies, and you're pitching your services to a client, in the domestic, right? But nonetheless, that client is belonging to a company, and that company is part of that factory. And so if you kind of follow it over, we actually put this together on a Spit and a Prayer, Wing and a Prayer, Spit and Polish show 15 minutes ago. So kind of the way I'm thinking about this is, on the top part, you've got the freight salesman, you've got the client, you've got the ocean vessel. The ocean vessel is, because of the volatility and velocity of the way ocean freight works, that same client that you're working with on the domestic move from Dallas to Miami, that same client has, maybe in a different division, he has an international colleague, or he may even be the guy, right, if it's a small enough company, but he has ocean freight, and chances are he's taken losses on the ocean freight in the format of overcharges or overpayments. There's a famous YouTube video out there, I won't share it today, of Søren Skou, the CEO of Maersk Line, talking about that 13% of Maersk's invoices were incorrect. Right? And it's a very traumatic issue in ocean freight, that invoices are very inaccurate, and that the average 100 container importer might have a $15,000, $25,000 refund coming back to him or her. And so the idea, and I'll get into the two models in a second, but the idea here is to build upon the relationships that you have with that domestic guy that's already moving your freight, the freight from Dallas to Miami, and ask him, and this is where the 42 seconds comes in, Mr. Customer, tell me about your international ocean program. Oh, that's Joe Smith. Hey, Joe, what do we do, with Asia, Europe? Oh, we do 125 containers. So now what you can do is you can take that information and you can lead that client into something I term for lack of a better word, a sponsored audit, right? So now all of a sudden, you got some skin in the game, where you have the potential to have that client's ocean freight post-audited by me, Steve Ferreira, and you have the chance to develop, that customer would receive, let's say, a $30,000 refund, right? Now, we'll talk about the model, how that works, but who is he going to attribute getting that new $30,000 to? Your competitor, your competitive freight broker or competitive truck line? No, he's going to give you the credit for it, right? So this is a really, really unique way to give that client new competitive recoveries of working capital that were previously dead, because ocean freight has a generous 3-year statute of limitations. So unlike trucking, we can go back 3 years in history and give that client a really magnified recovery. And guess what? Who's he going to use the extra money on? Whose services will be used? Well, that's right. You came up with a first mover concept, an idea for that customer. And thanks to you, that customer received the 30, the 50, the 80, the 100, even the $200,000 cash refund, right? So using ocean freight can up your game and build out your B2B persona with that potential, with that actual client or new client. Better yet, you're not even doing business with him. Think about it. What better way than to develop and give a client $30,000 before you've even shipped the first load from Dallas to Miami? Brilliant. Let's take a look at the model. So the way I kind of envision this, the way that it seems to work the best, is really two types of models here that could be put into play. One is subscription-based and one is more of a direct model. Let's just cover the subscription-based model for a second. So obviously in a case like that, you'd have to look at this regionally or nationally. And we'd have to, look at this as a partnership, right? Where a motor carrier or a, large brokerage, says to me, hey, Steve, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Let's develop a subscription model where we, the truck line or the freight brokerage house, compensates you, to do X amount of audits. And the reason why that's very attractive is that under that scenario, the customer would keep 100% of the refund. So if there are $50,000 in overcharges and errors, typically he would keep half and he would send half to me, for my fee. However, in the scenario that I'm describing now on a subscription model, on some sweetheart deal between Ocean Audit and Truckline XYZ, the client keeps the full 100,000, provided he uses 50,000 or 30% or 50%. It can be defined on new and fill in the blank, blah, blah, blah services. And that means your services. So think of a new customer, and this is the penetration event that you use to secure or onboard that client. Clients never ship with you, and all of a sudden he has $100,000 to play with, right? Wow. It's like money from the heavens, right? And I think I talked to a senior staff member in this field, domestic motor freight. And I don't know how many of you would agree or disagree with me, but there's some school of thought that it only takes four or five trial shipments, right, to kind of lock that customer into a regular rotation. So in essence, you're almost creating a free proof of concept for that client to try you out on. Obviously, you want to keep that going, and he's obligated to spend, half of the refund on your services. And it doesn't have to be just trucking, right? It could be, other ancillary services if you do global, or, you do other, if you're an NVOCC or a 3PL, transload. So there's a lot of other things that client can spend the quote unquote credit on from the ocean freight. The second model is just more back to the shipper direct model, where I go into the client, we work together, and the client gets the 100,000. I invoice the client. Now the client still has the 50,000, but of course, who's going to benefit? He's going to be somewhat. He's not really obligated to utilize your services under this shipper direct model. However, the point is that can you imagine over at your lunch saying, hey, how about that 50,000 that, how about that? No, here's how it will go probably, right? You'll say, hey, how about that 100,000 refund that we got you? And he'll say, oh, it's really only 50,000 because I had to pay that audit guy, right? And, then you'll laugh and then you'll say, well, you had 50,000 that you never had before. And that was our first point of contact, or it might've been our 33rd point of contact. The point is that you've done something to really move the needle. And that's why I said in black there, wow, this moves the needle. So I'm all about kind of being a first mover, being a leader, and bringing something, novel and unique. And, the thing is that why not try, right? I mean, both of these models have a lot of, pardon the pun, sea legs to them. But, why not try to break out of the paradigm and shift the model to something like this? Because, this is what gets a lot of, I think, enterprise companies in trouble, right? Where they have full service, but they don't necessarily always ask about the ocean, right? Because, you're the truckload guy or your domestic motor guy or your freight broker, he may not know the first thing about ocean, right? But that's what I'm here for. Because I have all the data on every single one of your potential customers. Let me just stop sharing this for a second. So there's not a customer in North America, in the US, excuse me, that you could ask me about that I don't already have the model on in terms of how many containers they have, their volume, and the audit potential. So in that respect, I'm the guy that would be, helping you to direct this play, so to speak. And you don't really need a lot of knowledge on ocean freight, or all you really need to understand is that, hey, 10% of ocean invoices are wrong, and the average refund is this, and this. I can give you some metrics that are really helpful. And I think that the one thing to think about, I'm going to just take a look at the questions here in a second that come in. I've got to just change my my computer screen. I know I'm getting some questions in here, and I don't want to potentially miss them. So I think what we should do is this. We should start out with a couple of premises, right? And I think, 100 containers a year for ocean freight. All you have to remember is this. Does your customer who you're working with in domestic freight, does his company have 100 international ocean containers a year? And if the answer is yes, then we move to step 2. Would you like those recovered? We have a way that we can work together to recover up to 1% of your spend, or 2% of your spend. We'll have to goose it, where appropriate. Yes, I would like that. Okay, great. Well, in most cases, the audit group that we work with at Ocean Audit can identify and return or get refunds validated in as little as 4 days. Does that sound good? Yes, that sounds great. Okay, so we kind of move forward, and the customer finally turns over a few small pieces of information. Takes them less than an hour of prep work. Their audit is completed, their refund is secured, and this is the most important part too. It's the fact that all of a sudden they have a whole new level of market intelligence on the defects and the error rates and the dispute management process that they never knew about for ocean. So now you've kind of holistically created this 3-dimensional mechanism for which you, the freight broker or trucking company, can profit from. And so I want to kind of go out on a limb here. It's not so much as of a limb, because I want to do 2 things today. I want to have somebody reach out to me in the next 24 hours and say, hey, this is the next thing since sliced bread. It sounds great. And I'm just looking at my teleprompter here. I wanted to make sure I say this correctly, because I don't want someone to misconstrue my words here. But I'll do 2 Amazon gift certificates, one for $500 and one for $1,000. So if somebody gets a client under this kind of methodology, and that audit produces $25,000 in gross refund, meaning that before the split. So $25,000 is the gross recovery, and let's say under the shipper mode, it's $12,500 for the auditor, $12,500 for the shipper. If someone does that $25,000 or more, I'll give you a $500 Amazon gift card. And if you get a refund at $50,000 gross, I'll give you a $1,000 Amazon gift card. And the thing about it is, all we need to do is get the commitment from your customer, and we could tee this up in basically, a day or so, and they can actually start seeing confirmed refunds probably a week from our conversation today. So it's really an amazing opportunity to, and I know Kevin Hill's out there watching, that it's tougher than it looks. I totally hear you, brother. But I think that when you build the right, B2B persona, and you can start going in those different layers and buckets within those organizations, might be a cool, tool that these men and women can put into their arsenal. Katie, I love what you said. Let it flow. Totally agree. You mind if I put this comment up? I work for a family-owned 3PL, and we operate in the spot market on the continent. When you say continent, I wonder if you mean the UK continent? I mean, the European? Ocean's not in a warehouse. Tip my toes without letting my customer down. I think the thing, Katie, is, and we can talk offline, if you have a client that has international and they have ocean freight, you can certainly walk before we run. I'm always available for a 3-way, a Zoom, even just an introductory type briefing for your team. It's all about the comfort level, and like Kevin said, it's tough. It's tough to, I was looking at the attendance list today. Landstar was one of the companies that signed up to come on today to watch me. And I can't tell you how I know this, but I actually did some due diligence in my ocean database, and Landstar also ships ocean. And I found a refund for Landstar, right? So I'm not going to tell you how much, but I already did that, and it's just amazing how money in international flows, and based on my 30 years of doing this, how quickly I can identify it. So hey, Landstar, if you're out there, call me tomorrow, because I found a pretty good load of cachet of cash, I guess. I'm always glad to be there to help everyone source this and resource it. I never think it's a piece of cake. And as I sit here today, I feel I'm the best guy that you'd want to send in to a customer, because I feel I can navigate through any minefield and solve the pain point. But, like Kevin Hill said, it's an art and a science, and nothing we ever do in terms of just the simplicity goes as well as we plan. That's why it's a little bit bogus, when someone comes out and sells a sales book, right? If you have a sales book, just throw it out the window. The sales book is you. It's not selling, right? It's the content and the way that you solve problems, right? Forget about all the selling stuff. Kevin, I'm trying to cover myself. Kevin had a really good comment. I think Kevin was right on both fronts, that it's tough to control the screens and reading the comments. And he is the expert on it. And I thought he was talking about how it's tough to give even kind of free money away. But I'll tell you what, Kevin is absolutely spot on, no matter what he thought, because, this is business, and business is hard. It's cruel. It's tough, but I love it. And I'm here to make your day better. And I want to make your income streams the best they can be. And if you guys think that this idea is, BS, and it just won't work in your organizations, just, like a duck on water on a duck's back, let it flow off, But if you think I'm onto something, and you have a few people watch this replay, then I'm all in. I want to help you have the life that you want and the income you deserve. I know that it's taken me a long time to figure out that formula, and God willing, we can all work together to achieve and get past this pandemic with keeping the goods being purchased from China, so I can keep these ships full. No, I'm just kidding. So I just realized we're approaching about the half-hour mark. I don't see any other questions coming in or comments. I'll let you guys get a good night's rest. But remember what I said. It's important to sleep on this. And I really, I think I just have a new friend here, Katie. And Katie, give me a call. Give me a call tomorrow, 860-200-8868. There, I put my personal business line right out there in the open. So that's how brave I am that you guys are going to treat me right. Listen, I love you all. This is, you've been watching Steve Ferreira, host of OK Boomer Live, CEO of Ocean Audit. Stay in touch. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Love you all, and good night.